Well, today's a pretty relaxing day. It's much cooler today. We had a big storm last night. So it's cooled off and nobody's calling about the lawnmowers. I told you yesterday that I had a Cub Cadet sitting here and we got this one. I still got this one to do. This guy brought a weed eater over yesterday. I'm not sure if I told you that. So I already got it running. This just needs a carburetor. And then I got another weed eater that I'm waiting for the guy to pick up. I'm a little concerned about him picking it up. He was adamant he wanted everything fixed, so I fixed everything. The bill came up, and he doesn't seem interested in coming to get it. He hasn't mentioned it, so I'll probably contact him again this week, let him know it's still here. But there was another Cub Cadet here. And I told you, I'm going to go through this again real quick, but I told you in yesterday's video that he said there was an oil leak that he wanted fixed, and the deck belt kept falling off. And that's all he wanted fixed. So they bring it over. Now the guy who told me this is in Colorado. He went on a trip to Colorado, so his son brought it over. And the son said, when you shut off the lawnmower, you need to make sure that you shut the gas valve off, because the gas can go through the carburetor and it gets into the oil. So I called the father. Now this is not the father's lawnmower either, it's his uncle's. So I called the father and I say, hey, do you want me to fix that carburetor leaking gas? Oh, no, that's okay. Okay. And I even explained that I need to be careful because somebody told me to do that before and I forgot to shut it off. Sure enough, I filled up the crankcase with gas. But so anyway, I washed the machine and then I pushed it over to the bay to work on the oil. So I took the valve cover off, I put silicone on it, the Permatex, sealed it up, let it set overnight, and then the drain tube was leaking also, where you drain the oil out of. So I put some Teflon tape around that, threaded that on so it would stop leaking. But I had to also put oil in it to it with a new filter, so there was $15. And whatever the Permatech costs, probably $5. So I'm in at $20 now. And now I'm going to work on the deck. And I see that the deck is, there's $200 in parts that I got to buy. Everything's wrong with it. Both spindle bearings are bad. There's one pulley that's wobbling. One of the belt guides is just completely nearly worn through. The belt rubbed up against it so long. One of the bushings that engages the mower, that's messed up. There's only one pulley that is working, and I thought, well, I'll just go ahead and replace that because it came in a set. So I started up and I'm going to mow. Well, I was going to turn the mower on is what I was going to do, but I wanted to back it out of the bay before I did that because Carolyn was cooking and I didn't want to get dirt into her food. So I started up and I put it in reverse. You know, you push the foot pedal to go in reverse and it wouldn't go. Put it in forward, nothing, back and forth. And so I checked that little thing in the back to make sure it was shut, because sometimes I forget that. It was fine. And I knew it was because I just flipped it. So I shut it off and I go and see if the belt had fallen off, because the engine was loose too. I forgot to tell you that. So it's shaking around in there. I thought, well, maybe that belt fell off because it was shaking around. So I had to tighten the engine. I forgot to tell you that. Tighten it up. And but the belt was on. Everything was fine. The belt's rotating. So I did this several times, trying to figure out why it won't go. So pushing the button, turning it on, shutting it off. Finally, I had Carolyn come down, and I got underneath there to see if everything was working. She was pushing the reverse. But I got it to start lurching forward. It would lurch forward. So I called the guy up, and I told you yesterday that he was very condescending, and yeah, that doesn't seem likely. You know, kind of indicating it was my fault. And I told him, no, just come pick it up Monday, because that's when he was going to be back from Colorado Monday. He said, well, come over and I'll see what's wrong with it on Monday. Like, no, you're just going to pick it up Monday. Something that Carolyn picked up on that I mentioned to her, but I didn't really catch on to it, was when he came here and to talk to me about the lawnmower, he said, you know who I am, don't you? No, I have no idea. I'm the bus driver supervisor at the school. Yay, is what I was thinking. And she picked up on the idea that since I didn't like, oh, wow, you're the supervisor of the school bus drivers. Oh, wow, that's great. Oh, you're going to Colorado. What's going on in Colorado? You're teaching, you know, whatever it was, about how to be a bus driver supervisor, you know. So he is looking for status. He wants to be important. And since I didn't acknowledge his importance, he was already dismissive of me, disappointed, you know, whatever the case is. So when I called and I told him, look, the transmission isn't working, he got very condescending. You know, he's better than me. I'm just a lawnmower repair guy. He's a bus driver supervisor. And I kept thinking, as she was telling me this, wait a minute. The principal of the school has been over here and dropped off his lawnmower, and he wasn't near as arrogant as you are. I've been fretting about this all night, thinking, you know, he's upset and there's nothing I can do about it. But I got to stick to my guns, and I'm going to have to weed out. I've been watching a lot of videos and asking Google about bad customers. And, you know, some customers are just going to cause me problems. And since this is a hobby business and not so much a business, it is really nice, I want to make a side note, to have a hobby business. So I like what I'm doing. I am really enjoying it. But I don't need it so bad that I got to take abuse from the customers. So I've been watching videos of a guy who talks about customer and a lot of problems with the customers. In one video he just showed, customer calls in and says, I'm having my car towed in. It's making a funny noise when I put it in gear or whatever it was. And so they bring it in, and the entire front end is just completely smashed. They ran into something. It's been totaled, basically, in my opinion. He said, well, no, this is going over to the body shop. We're not dealing with this. And that's the kind of mentality that I was getting from this guy. No, you're going to fix this. They were expecting a miracle to happen. The transmission is shot. The engine mounts were, you know, on this lawnmower were so loose it was just rocking everywhere. It was constantly vibrating. And the thing that bothered me the most about the engine being like that was when I told him, he said, oh yeah, I knew it was loose. Well, you should have told me. That's a huge problem. If that would have broke while I had it in my possession, I would have been responsible for fixing, you know, replacing the engine. And I just really got the impression that Carolyn doesn't think this is the case, but I got the impression he was trying to scam me. The more I thought about my position, the better I felt about the whole thing. That I felt like he was really being arrogant. And then today, Carolyn confirmed, yeah, you know what? Now that I've thought about it, I agree with you. He was trying to show off that he's a bus driver supervisor. So, I'm going to Colorado. Where have you been, you lowlife? You know, that kind of thing. I hadn't thought much more about it. I was going to take it easy today. It's Saturday. Unless, you know, someone calls, I was going to take it easy. I'm open on Saturdays. So, I don't have anything to work on but this thing. This Cub Cadet with the carburetor, and that's not coming in until Monday. And about 10 o'clock, an older gentleman shows up in a Ford F1, you know, something, 150, I don't know what it was, with a trailer on it. And I walk up there, and so he says, hi, Rob. And I said, do I know you? And he says, yeah, you know, so-and-so brought that mower over, and he wants me to pick it up. Well, wait a minute. The guy didn't call me to tell me that he was picking it up, so I wanted to, I'm his father, you know, I tried to get in a conversation with him. And he says, I was thinking about bringing my zero turn over to you and having you fix it. It's losing power, so I explained to him what might be wrong with it, because I didn't know if I wanted to do business with this guy or not after having such a difficult time with this other guy. So I explained to him what he might want to try before he brings it over. It seems like we're getting along. He says, so what's going on with this mower? And the Cub Cadet, and I explain everything that I've done. And I show him the deck problems. And he says, well, how are we going to get this thing loaded into the trailer? I said, well, I'll just take the beast and we'll tow it over there. Oh, okay. I was thinking about going and get my zero turn. We can pull it over that. I said, that Craftsman will handle it just fine. Oh, that's a nice Craftsman. I didn't realize anything. I was thinking about buying one of those. I just saw one on Facebook, but you know, the whole. So we're building a rapport. And he says, so why did you decide not to work on this? And I said, well, I felt like the guy was getting upset with me because the transmission went out. And I said, I didn't do anything to it. And all I did was the valves and the oil tube, and I looked at the mower deck. That was it. That's all I did to it, and it wouldn't go. And he seemed upset. So I said, the thing's old. I don't think I should be working on it. It's not worth it. Oh, well, when he calls you, you're going to have to explain all this to him. Well, I already did, so he jumps on the Cub Cadet. I get the Craftsman, we pull it over there. I push it up on into the trailer, and he pops the hood on his truck as I'm walking back over here. And I said, do you need a jump or anything? Oh, no, I'm okay. And he runs battery cables from his battery back to the back end of his truck. So I assume he's got a battery back there. That's what I'm thinking. Carolyn thought the same thing. And he's trying to jump it from this battery. So he's trying to start it. It won't start. So I don't know, after 5 minutes or 10 minutes watching him do that, I go back over there. I said, you sure you don't need any help? And he said, well, maybe I do. So I back the truck up, pull it over there, hook up his jumper cables to the truck, and it doesn't do anything. He says, I should have left this thing running, but I got timing chain issues, and I was worried that if I left it running while we load that up, the timing chain would do something. Well, now it's already occurred to me what's going on. The timing chain has slipped, so it's misaligned. He's getting high compression lock, is some sort of compression lock. It won't turn over. So he's trying to jump, and all of a sudden the battery cables at my battery terminal start smoking. I'm like, okay, hold on, wait, we're burning up my truck now. So I stop him. He says, well, I've got that battery in the back. He says, I'm going to call my grandson, the guy who brought the mower over here in the first place, and he's going to tow me home. So, literally, the grandson comes over with this really nice brand new truck. The kid can't be more than 21 years old. They hook Grandpa's truck up to it. Grandpa's got the trailer hooked up with Lawnmower on it, and they're towing this thing. And I'm thinking, okay, so you bring a lawnmower over here that it would take a miracle to fix. And you expect me to perform that miracle for basically no money. The carburetor's leaking, you don't want that fixed. The transmission's not working, you don't want that fixed. The engine's vibrating all over the place. Don't charge me for that. I already know that's broke. And then you send your 85-year-old father over here to load up a lawnmower onto a truck that doesn't run. They knew it didn't run, just like they knew that transmission wasn't working when they brought it over here. They know that the timing belt or chain is bad on that. I guess I don't understand people. I don't get it. The other day I made a video that said, if you don't want to maintain your equipment, that is on you. I don't have a problem with that. If you feel like that every few years you're just going to go out and buy a new mower, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. I made a whole analogy about the whole thing. If you want me to fix it, you bring it over every few years, you want me to fix it, that's fine if you're willing to pay for it. Don't have a problem with that. If this guy would have said, oh yeah, replace that transmission, that's fine, yeah, sure, okay. But instead, he manipulated and lied and trying to get me to, I don't know, maybe put a used one on. I don't know. So I don't understand the philosophy that you're going to let everything run down and then expect a miracle. Why would you send your 85-year-old father out in a vehicle that does not run to pick up a lawnmower that does not run because you are mad at the guy who told you it's not worth fixing? Why didn't you just come over Monday when I told you to? Or when you said you were going to come? I don't know. And you didn't call me to tell me that some stranger was going to come pick it up. I don't get any of it. I mean, it just makes no sense. I do not understand the human race. And I was talking to Carolyn today. The hardest part about the lawnmower repair. I mean, I enjoy doing the lawnmower repair. The hardest part is dealing with people, which is why I live here in the first place. I don't understand them. So, you know, I'm always worried about my bad reputation. I don't want to get a bad reputation around here. But in some cases, I don't think you can avoid it. It's not avoidable. I think you're just going to get some people who think they're better than you, even if they're not, because they're the bus driver supervisor, who's going to try to bully you into it. And if they start bad-mouthing you, then I guess you're just going to get the bad mouth. I mean, I have enough customers that seem to be satisfied that I'm sure I should be able to get through it. So if you'll click this up next box to take the video on my other channel, really appreciate it if you go check it out. So if I can inspire you to deal with people the best you can so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.